What's up, Octarian Menaces? I'm Quacker's Coat, and this is the Fish Fry, where I give you the lowdown on the next Salmon Run stage with weapon benefits, stage strategies, and general tips for helping you maximize your potential with Grizzco. This is for the stage rotation that's happening on October 14th, and it's being held at Fission Hydro Plant. Weapon composition of this run are the Dapple Dualies, the Sloshing Machine, the Range Blaster, and the classic Squiffer. The gameplay of Fission Hydro Plant is much different than the other two maps because it's so small. It supports more of an attack and retreat kind of gameplay. Because of the basket being closer to the shoreline, we're going to find more swarms of enemies near the basket than before. Making sure that you can get in, get what you need to do done, and then get out. So a large amount of damage is needed right there in the core of the map. And with how tight the gameplay is on Fission, it's helpful to look for every single corner that can be cut. And if we find ourselves going to the shoreline for any reason, it's helpful to know all the different methods you have of getting yourself back up to the upper level. Holding your jump button when jumping gives you a little bit extra height on your jump. And if you ever have problems doing a wall jump, you can use Squid Surge to hold yourself into the wall a little bit better, move the stick in the opposite direction of the wall, and then release it to wall jump. And with the Dapple Dualies being in this rotation, people are going to find themselves at the shoreline and potentially going down. So make sure if you dive in there and get that revive, you know how to stay alive out there and get yourself back up to the upper level. There's a bunch of hidden movement variables that you have here on Fission. Keep your eye out for them and keep without getting splatted. And you will find more success moving in between the two tall platforms and providing the teamwork wherever it's needed. Because people have a tendency of doing stupid things. And the more we have these walls painted, the more chances we have of getting back up to where safety is. The worst case scenario in Fission is that we get bumped out and a horde just takes us out immediately. So with these walls, we can use wall hangs not just for glowflies, but anytime during a match to get a little bit of ink or to have a little bit of a moment to get our health back. Sometimes nothing's better than getting that martyrdom revive. It feels so good, but if you ever see someone do that for you, make sure that you don't squander it. Take a moment, think about the situation, focus on reviving them next, and then start making your movements. And a tip for flipper floppers, when you're trying to fill their splat zone, if you have any lessers making their approach on you, they'll paint over the splat zone. So for a better chance of painting all the splat zone, make sure you move the salmonids to a location that won't paint over it. And if you're gathering ink back up so that way you can throw another egg and you see a snatcher coming in, just go ahead and use that explosion and take out the snatcher. And because the map is so small, we're going to find ourselves really close to flyfish. So if you hold back on the movement stick when throwing a bomb, it'll have less momentum in travel, giving you a better chance to get it in at a closer vicinity to the flyfish. And you can throw eggs through all salmonids, even if it's the gaping maw of a steel eel. Alright, let's get into the weapons of this composition. The first weapon of this rotation are the Dapple Dualies. The Dapple Dualies have an amazing fire rate, great coverage, but the range of them is very short, so height will be very helpful for getting advantage on bosses. But if we find ourselves down to the level of something like a Stillhead, remember that if you don't put any movement input and jump, your character will jump straight up instead of dodge rolling. That'll give you a little bit of extra height on some of your shots. And the fire rate and damage of the Dapple Dualies make it a fantastic weapon for making an approach on stingers and big shots. Those reticles seem really close together on the Dapples, but they have a pretty wide spread, which works incredibly well on taking out hordes. So find those moments where you can make a push on salmonids to activate them, or to take out a horde that's right around a boss. The second weapon of this rotation is the Sloshing Machine. The Sloshing Machine fires a blast that causes splash damage. It also causes a pretty good ink blot on the wall, making painting mid to low walls very quick. And use those moments to get used to the range of this weapon. If you use that splash damage to hit a Quahog that's around a horde, it'll cause massive damage to all the salmonids. And since its attack can take out Drizzler balloons in one hit, keep your eye open for those chances to take out those balloons. And even when that hit hits the ground, it causes splash damage, so even firing when it just seems like it's getting out of range can cause the splat on some of these enemies. It takes 2 shots to take out a Steelhead, but remember, you're going to be taking out 1 bucket at a time for a stinger, but it's good to know that the splash damage when your shot hits the ground is enough to take out a bucket. When you're dealing with flipper floppers, make sure that splash hits the ground. It causes a big ink spot on the ground that works really well for filling in that splat zone. So if you know you're going to get hit, use that boost to get you into a little spot of safety. The third weapon of this rotation is the Range Blaster. The range blaster has a very slow fire rate, with a large impact spot. With that explosion, you don't always need to see the enemy you're firing at to hit it, so use that explosion to cause massive damage on hordes and enemies in smart ways. A really nice thing about the range blaster is its at-foot painting is really good, so don't feel bad if you're moving into enemy ink, just make sure that you know that you have a good retreat spot. The best thing you can do with this weapon is to utilize its range. It is the range blaster, so make sure you find good safe places that you can focus on bosses or taking out lessers. The last weapon of this composition is the classic Squiffer. Luckily, the Squiffer has piercing damage, and its charge doesn't take too long to get there, but it doesn't have the same range of the other chargers. So if you're dealing with Cohawks, always make sure that you're planning to fire 2 fully charged shots, and aims just a little bit towards the lower half of their bodies. That way, if there's any chum or small fry, they'll be taken out in the shot. So do your best to line up those hordes and take out more than just one with every shot. It'll be great for glowflies. The Squiffer's shots also don't use up that much ink, so try to make sure you maintain your ink level, and you'll find it easier to take out bosses and have enough ink to use splat bombs more proficiently. The Squiffer's range should be really good for Gone Fission, just make sure you line them up. And remember that the fish fry comes out before the stage rotation, so if you want to catch these updates when they're hot and fresh, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. And if you want other Grizzco employees to receive these updates, make sure you like and share the video. Bye-bye.